if I'm selling a beat, I don't get on the phone, and people are always like, let's get on the phone. I'm like, I'm not getting on the phone.
You need a paper trail.
Yeah, you do. Yep. And they don't understand. They're like, why? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. It's the No Pain, No Gain podcast. I got Erinn back. Dame is doing Dame stuff, jet setting, breaking ankles, etc. How are you feeling, Erinn?
I'm doing good. I'm back to my new home for like 5 days, and then I'm traveling all over again. It's weird. I think I've been traveling a lot personally, but I'm about to enter the busiest travel season I've ever had. But I also feel like pretty chill and rested. So I'm grateful. I'm doing good. Glad to be on the No Pain, No Gain podcast again.
Wait, why is this season about to be the biggest travel season?
So I have 2 clients who are about to be on tour, and I'm technically tour managing both of them. One of them, I just have to show up to spot dates. The other one, the tour is only 3 or 4 dates a month. So it's working out. But then also my company has a new residency in Texas, and I don't live in Texas. So it's a monthly residency. So I'll be in Austin monthly. And then, I'm like experimenting with new events with my company. Me and my business partner, Brandon. So we're about to launch a couple of series. It's about to turn into fall. So it's like a fun, creative time. So I don't know, I'll just be all over. And then I'm starting to get more speaking gigs. So it's like all sides of my life are requiring me to travel. I'm trying to speak at more universities as well. So, the fall semester is here and present. So we'll see.
If you're in the university circuit or any sort of college circuit, things are crazy. I mean,
book me to speak if you're in the university circuit.
Same, and I can also DJ, which is what I've been doing a lot lately. I've been back and forth from campus quite a bit. I think I have at least one more left. I don't know.
Yes, the schools are hiring you to DJ. I feel like that's great. It's consistent. It's safe. It's alcohol and drug free, at least for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, not the big gigs like the Badger game. There was recently some controversy out here, actually, about. I'm pretty sure the DJ who is new to the. Maybe he's not new. Maybe he's been doing this. The DJ that they hired for all the football games here. I'm pretty sure he's been on this podcast. But I don't really, but I don't know for a fact if maybe there was a switch. But yeah, there was this whole controversy about game goers being upset about the loudness and this and that. I'm like, it's a Big Ten college football game, and we're at one of the top 10 parties. I'm about to. Hey, you want to be on the podcast? Oh, now you're quiet. Yeah, but basically people were upset about the noise level, and I think there was some other factor there. It always reveals itself.
Black?
I'm careful as to how I identify people, but I'll say
I wasn't trying to insinuate anything. I just was like trying to knock out the process of elimination when you said there could be other things there.
I'm doing this. So probably we're on the same page regardless. Speaking of being on the same page, I think we're both a little equally skeptical about any of these articles coming out about Diddy and the whole Bad Boy Publishing being what is wrong with me today? I'm having bad recall. The word went reverted. A lot of the publishing is being reverted back to its original writers. And so just a quick refresher. Hopefully, I can't trust these articles to use terms correctly, but if, here's the headline from TMZ. Diddy turns down 9 figures and gives Bad Boy Acts publishing rights. So if we're just taking that at face value, then that a lot of people will use the word publishing to mean underlying composition copyright. I'm guessing it actually means publishing, as in half of those underlying composition rights. In other words, the writers of all the songs have been receiving their writer's credit, which is only half of the pie when it comes to, performance royalties, syncs, etc. And now theoretically they're back to getting 100% of it. So whatever income they're getting off of their underlying composition, it has doubled now, according to these articles. Obviously, I haven't seen the paperwork. The one thing that I would say is encouraging is because Cameron actually posted about it, saying that Mace got his publishing back. So, I mean, if Cameron says it.
Okay, so saying I think, the articles are inconclusive. I'm assuming Diddy isn't calling TMZ to explain exactly what's going on. But I read another article that said that the process actually started in 2021 with them like reaching out to people and trying to give them their masters back. And I'm wondering if that's because of Mace's interview run that he went on. Do you remember that when everybody was just like asking him like what his relationship was with Diddy?
Yeah.
And he was just like, Diddy was my brother, but basically he not breaking bread with me. And he was like, I'm a man, so I can't be mad at him. Like, I have to take care of myself or whatever. But he was saying like he was like, I respect Diddy, I love Diddy, but I think, and I'm just remembering it because it was a while ago, so I could be a little bit off. But I think the crux of it was, I'm grateful to Diddy for the opportunity he gave me. I love him as a human, but to see him up so big off the masters that I helped co-create, and I don't have essentially a big enough revenue share in that, you could see that there was some angst and anger there. I believe that was right around 2021. So I'm assuming, I'm not saying that that's what spurned it, but I'm wondering if these things are related to where Diddy's like, yeah, maybe I could break bread with some people. I don't necessarily need more money. I'm making more money in other ways. Also, if we're looking at him as a business owner, he's very pro-Black business. At least he says that. And I say that not because I know anything, but because a lot of people say they're pro-Black business, but then we'll take a check from anyone. A lot of these articles are talking about he's been offered hundreds of millions for the catalog. And, the money is being backed by these huge financial companies that are not Black owned. So I'm assuming that maybe this was more of a moral debate for him versus a money debate, which I would hope. I hope more successful business owners, especially those who do have a connection to their community, would say, hey, in lieu of more money, I'm looking to expand the wealth of more people and hopefully affect more families and build wealth, So yeah, I don't know. Skeptical isn't because we know Diddy. It's just because there's not enough information out about this. This one article that I just read said, how did it explain it? It says he returned their lucrative music rights. Like, what does that mean? And it says artists and songwriters who were signed to the label, he returned their music rights. So it's like, what is music rights? Like, yeah. So I think that people are catching wind of things, so they're trying to write articles on it, but nothing seems that deep. Did you read the Instagram post that went up? It says, who wrote this? I don't know. And essentially the Instagram post, the rapper said that he offered Combs $2 million to buy back publishing rights, but the offer was turned down. And then, it just starts to go through the Mace story, which I personally had thought it was connected to that when I first saw this. And then it's like, well, if you're going to give Mace his money back, Mace is going to be loud about it. So I feel like he was like, okay, maybe I got to go through and offer royalties to other people. But yeah, it seems inconclusive. If this is real, and not that I don't think it's real, I think it's dope. I just don't have enough information about it.
Yeah, because Mace has an amplified voice now more than ever with the podcast. And so maybe this was partially political, and just Diddy was like, all right, now if I'm going to do it, now's the right time. Because at least this act will be amplified and he'll be praised for it. He's worth damn near $1 billion if he's not worth $1 billion as is. He does not need the money. So there's absolutely no reason for him to dig in his heels other than the fact that they have an agreement, which I think is an important component of the conversation, because this was 4 years ago, actually, when Mace, according to this OK Player article, which was titled "Mace Publicly Asked Diddy for Rights to His Publishing," and yeah, that's connects to him asking to buy it back for $2 million, which is probably far less than what Diddy can get from it. But I think the important part of the article is as follows. When referencing a past experience with Diddy, Mace wrote the mogul still has ownership of his publishing from 24 years ago, which he allegedly only received $20,000 for. And then he goes on to say, which makes me want to work for you as an artist. No one would, after you know someone is robbing you and tarnishing your name when you don't want to comply with his horrendous business model. I mean, it sounds like he did comply with his business model by accepting the $20,000 and signing off his publishing. I think also, I'm assuming Mace, like all of us creatives, we get in a situation where someone puts more money in our face than we've ever seen for music. And we're like, yeah, we got to take this, because if we don't take this, then what, and realistically, if he had just sat on it, he would have gotten probably at least $1 million off for, from some external publishing company's offer. But I've heard stories like this. I'm not going to say names. I've heard stories from my colleagues about CEOs of companies and collectives, even people who are artists themselves, like Diddy, getting into the whole publishing thing of artists that they've signed. And I think, okay, well, it certainly feels like a conflict of interest, but it's almost always one of these dirty deals where it's a quick sell and it's peanuts compared to what the catalogs are worth. And there's a friend of mine who turned one of those deals down, and I think it probably was a pretty painful experience to because these are other creatives and people he considered friends doing this. So on the one hand, that Mace accepted the deal. On the other hand, Diddy knew what he was doing, and it wasn't something he was doing because he cared about Mace. It was because he was trying to get as much money as possible and own all this musical real estate. But I don't. Yeah, the 9-figure. Who knows what he actually turned down? Again, these are articles written by people who just aren't in the music business, so they don't ask the right questions. If I wrote these articles, they'd be a lot shorter because I would have very little information, and probably they wouldn't be fun to read because they would just have very dry details and then a lot of commentary about how this is all speculative. But these other publications, it's a lot of people who I think are they have backgrounds in journalism. Maybe they wanted to review concerts and albums, and they're like, oh, music business, that's not hard. Sure, he gave the rights back. So then people read these articles and they're like, Diddy gave his masters back, or so-and-so got his royalties back. What does that mean? I think I know. I do these videos where I'm showing the chart where I'm like, here is the sound recording, aka the master copyright. Here's the underlying composition, aka the publishing copyright. These are two separate and distinct copyrights. We're going to talk about master royalties. Standard for a major label is 3%, and then someone will chime in the comment, I thought it was 50%. How I'm giving 50%? Like, because you're not paying attention, and I'm pulling my hair out, what little I have access to with the way I shave it. But it's like, how can I make it clearer that there are 2 copyrights for every song and that it's actually pretty fucking simple? People make it really complicated. And these articles, I'm ranting about music business journalism, but these articles do not make it easier. They complicate things because people are reading these articles. They're conflating masters with publishing and publishing with the underlying composition as a whole. They don't know. They never name specifics when they talk about offers. And it's like, here's this 9-figure offer. From whom? For what? How does that work? How does that deal structured? What does publishing even mean? They don't explain that. Not a single one of these damn articles explains what publishing actually is. So then people read it and they're like, well, this concept of publishing isn't in my brain because I'm not in the music business. So then when someone says masters, oh, I'll swap that word out. When someone says intellectual property, okay, I'll expand my understanding and stretch that definition to include that. And then you just have a lot of people who either make music or don't make music, but it affects the entire creative community because we come from being consumers. No one starts making music and automatically knows everything about the music business. So this stuff is frustrating, and I wish there were higher level conversations, but realistically, people in the music business don't even want to have these higher level conversations. They just want to tell you, shut the fuck up. Don't tell me about the music business. I don't care. I'm trying to make my music. You're gatekeeping. Like, bitch, I'm trying to tell you how to make money and not be broke. Oh no, you're just an old head. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't think these articles help. But the good news is apparently, and this is TMZ language. Our sources tell us, again, who knows who the sources are, that other artists have gotten a similar deal recently and include Faith Evans, The Lox, 112, and Notorious Big's estate. And why do people write like this? They actually typed this out. BTW, Diddy is hooking up the writers who are working with him too, ... They're getting a cut in all of this. Who writes this stuff? I'm looking for the author's name. This is what people can get away with nowadays. So I look, because I'm like, all right, these are legacy catalogs. How much could they possibly be worth? Notorious Big's current Spotify is at 21 million monthly listeners. 21 million. I don't even know that. What is Drake at? Drake is at 75 million. So when you think, like Drake is the guy to beat, he's the guy with the most probably monthly listeners in the hip hop space. 25 million is a lot. So and when you consider sync money, when you consider radio play, because these are classic songs now, when you consider commercials, well, that's sync. When you consider sampling, people who sample his music, suddenly
and the tour that they just went on. So they did arenas, right? Or was it arenas? Which one is bigger, arenas or stadiums?
I think stadiums are bigger, but I don't even know. I think it probably depends.
I always get it confused, but I think an arena tour.
It was huge.
And they did like 20, 25 dates, the bad boy. So it's like people don't recognize how much even publishing you get just from performing the song live in front of that many people. That tour was bringing in a crazy amount of revenue. And then, everything went up from there.
So it's actually, part of me when I heard about it, I'm like, oh yeah, 25 years later, you're giving your publishing back. But that actually is going to be lifelong income for everyone involved.
So one, I think the people who know about this or understand the business won't dive into it because most of those people own people's publishing. I also, or like they work for entities connected to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Anybody who can talk about this proficiently either owns a significant amount of publishing or does deals in publishing. Like me and you, like this is our whole career is, like you said, the two copyrights in music. Like, my whole mission is for Black people to be free because the music industry, to a degree, in my opinion, is modern day slavery. Black people are building it and we're only taking a tiny portion of it, the same way slavery built America. It's like we're here, but we don't have any of the residual benefits of what we've built. So to me, hearing that Mace got 20K, like, it definitely sounds like that. I hope that Diddy is like righting his wrongs. And when I say wrongs, when he came in, he might have not even seen it as wrong. He might have just been like, oh, this is what everybody else does. I'm breaking my brother off. He's making part of his masters. He's got the tours. He's got this. There were also so many more ways, let me say, so many more lucrative ways to make money back then. Like, there's way more streams of income you can make off of music now, but I think it was like the big money era in the 90s and early 2000s, like you could pull up to a club for 50 racks, back then, and not even be that big of an artist, but you could say, yeah, Def Jam recording artist, and you know what I'm saying? So I feel like at this point, yeah, I'm hoping that he's righting his wrongs. I'm hoping that it's a solid situation for everybody involved, but I'm pretty confident he's not giving masters back. But I kind of want to see what their record deals look like. Like, what's the percentage of the masters these artists owned? Because they were signed, Bad Boy was under Columbia, right? Or was it Columbia?
Let me check on that.
So it's like the main label is getting their percentages. And then, unless it was, I don't even know what deal structures are like back then, so I don't even want to assume. But it's like Columbia is going to get their percentage, then Bad Boy gets their percentage, and then the artists signed to Bad Boy are going to get their percentage. The fact that Diddy back then knew to open a publishing company, I still think is genius. Not that people didn't know about publishing back then, but I'm saying the thought process of him saying, I'm going to take both sides. As a business owner, I think that's great. But taking the full amount from the artist and only giving them a small percentage is what I don't like. But yeah, I would love to look under the hood at their deals, I think that when Kanye leaked his deal, he was trying to save artists. I think that some of the Bad Boy artists may be ashamed of the deal that they took and they're ignorant, so it may not ever come out, or maybe they don't want to rock the boat because they're getting their stuff back. But that's something I wish I could just look at old contracts. I wish I could look at current contracts. I'm like, what does Ariana Grande's contract look like? What does Drake's contract look like? Like, there's speculation, but I want to see the fine deal points. I want to see what renegotiation looks like. I want to see what management contracts with somebody like Scooter Braun looks like, because I hear Scooter Braun will front his artists, like, depending on the size, like anywhere from $250K to $1 million to sign them. But then he's like in a 50-50 deal with them, which I'm like, that's crazy. But then low key, when you look at the machine that Scooter Braun has, it's like, so it's just, I don't know. And then people say Scooter Braun's a terrible dude. And then some people are like, Scooter Braun changed my life. I don't know. I wish there was more transparency in the music industry. Anybody who asks about the contracts that I signed with my artists, I'm super forthcoming about them, and I have them here. But like, my artists can read their own contracts without going to a lawyer. I still want them to go to a lawyer, but that shit is in plain English. It's a 50-50 revenue split. That's it. I front you this amount of money. When you recoup this amount of money, we're going 50-50 on everything. And then after you recoup your situation 3 times, so we go 50-50 3 times. After you recoup it 3 times, now my percentage degrades. Then you recoup it again 3 times, my percentage degrades again. You can get it all the way down to 10%. Like, my thing is, if I'm eating and you're eating it, if you're working enough to make your records recoup that often, I'm going to just keep giving you back percentages. Now, because I was the original investor, I always and forever am going to want a percentage. But it's like, that's it. And then you own your publishing. We get a small percentage of that if we're locking in stuff for you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I just feel like it could be way simpler. But because it's a dog-eat-dog world and the way that the industry has been created, people will say, like, when I tell people the deals I give my artists, they're like, I mean, I don't sign artists anymore because it's a dog eat dog world and everybody wants to take advantage. But when I was signing artists under those type deals as a label, not a manager, I wasn't doing that as a manager, but I still am transparent about my management deals. But when I was signing people to that, other label owners were like, why are you doing that? And then I was like, why are they so? And I realized it's because they don't want me telling people what I'm doing, because it takes the power from them to say,
Yeah.
like, because then artists are like, oh, that's an option that can happen. Like, yeah, my thing is, and I get some people, they're owning a label and that's their only thing. That's all they want to do. They want the label and the publishing. They're not even hearing this. But me and my team, it's a small team. I'm trying to empower artists. My thing is, you'll never not want to sign with me if I'm giving you deals like that. Every time you want a new deal, I'm coming back and it's going to make you run harder. It didn't work out the way I wanted to because I never had the privilege of signing an artist who worked as hard as me. And that's no shot to any artist that I signed. But to me, if I was an artist and I offered this type of deal, oh, I would be running. I would be running because it's like, there's no loss here. You get fronted the money. It's a 50-50 split as soon as you recoup. And then if I just keep recouping, I'm getting more money every time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think there's a lack of transparency because people are greedy and people don't want to empower the people around them to also partake in eating the pie, but not just eating the pie, like teaching them how to grow an apple orchard and then chop down or pull off the apples and plant more seeds and then go bake the pie and feed somebody else. People are like, here's your slice of the pie. I'm like, man, we got a whole bakery, an orchard. I own the supply chain and I'm going to teach you how to own your own.
Yeah. And then also there's just this kind of reluctance to even be a part of that process. Cause I think traditionally artists look at what their predecessors did and they're like, they got the money and they sat back and let you. So many artists, so many producers I talk to, they're like, I just want to sign a deal and let or not even sign it. I was talking to a producer the other day. I hear this from producers all the time. I don't even want to deal with this stuff. I just want my management to get me placements and I just sit back in the studio. And it's like, one, that doesn't even sound fun. And two, you're just going to trust this person to handle all the business for you. And then 10 years from now or a year from now, maybe that manager drops you or you discover that you don't like working with that manager. Then what? You're no smarter about the business that you've been running for the last year or two than you were when you started. How is that
everybody's
cool?
Like, I got screwed.
Yeah.
And the labels, management, where's my publishing?
And it's never their fault.
Taking so long. Yep.
And it's like, but you agreed to this. However long ago it was when you agreed to this, that's your name that you signed on. But I didn't know. I signed it without knowing. And it's like, it's kind of an excuse, I guess, but not really. So then why not change that? And then they end up getting into another situation. But to backtrack.
I feel like artists, sorry, my bad, just this real quick. I feel like artists and producers are the only ones who could say, I didn't know and I got taken advantage of. If I, as a new manager, come in and get my artist a bad deal, I can't say, oh, I didn't know, I'm a new manager. They would be like, well, that's your job to know. My thing is, as an artist, it's your job to know. I do think that I, as a manager, should have more expertise because that's what I'm leaning into. Just like you, as a producer, should have more expertise in creating your craft. But I don't think it's fair for anybody to walk into anything completely ignorantly. Because when I started, the only reason people wanted to sign with me is because I knew so much. And I had an understanding and I had a tenacity to learn. If you're just like, I just want to be a creative, I think you were born in the wrong era. You can't just be, even back then, people, time and time again, people got screwed after screwed. The reason that there aren't as many legacy artists as there could have been is because people were not educating themselves. And that may not be their own fault. There wasn't as much information available. They were probably trusting people. But in the internet age, you saying something like that sounds extremely lazy. You sound like you want to be an employee, not an entrepreneur.
Well, I think most people want to be employees and not entrepreneurs. And part of it is conditioning. And I don't know where the conditioning stops and the laziness begins, but maybe the two are just inextricably linked. And that's just what we've created. And we're reaping what we're sowing. And I kind of feel like being a creative, an entrepreneurial creative should break that mold entirely, but it just doesn't. It often just reaffirms the pattern. That's another conversation. To backtrack, Bad Boy's original deal was with Epic, and I think it's changed quite a bit over time. They've done stuff with WMG, and these are distribution deals. So I'm assuming these are newer Bad Boy catalogs, and they just negotiate, or Diddy negotiates new deals every so often. I wanted to pick up on something that you were saying earlier. Maybe we already covered it. It was just about the, signing these deals way back, and then a lot of people artists not wanting to disclose any of the details. Because I think that's another element where people just don't want to admit they didn't know what they were doing. Like because it's embarrassing. I recently spoke about, and I showed my contracts in a video that totally flopped on YouTube. No one watched that damn video. If I put out a video talking about fuck busy works, I'd get 1 million views. But it was me showing my contracts and then talking about the mistakes I made signing my first contract. And I guess when you put education on your shoulders like I have, I would feel worse not discussing this kind of thing, but it's still embarrassing. It's still embarrassing to say, yeah, look, this is what I signed, and why didn't I know this stuff? And it's like, well, I'll give myself grace because I was young, and this was my very first major placement, and my management was young. It was his first major placement. The lawyer wasn't young, and it certainly wasn't his first major placement, but he didn't really care what happened to me. But I learned from the situation, and I think the worst thing you can do is not learn from the situation. And so when you hear someone say, okay, 20 years ago or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I signed this deal, I didn't understand it, wasn't my fault. It just feels like, damn, you're probably going to repeat the same mistakes because there's no accountability there. I'm not saying blame the victim, but I'm saying, what have you learned from that? I think that's important to discuss and inspire the next generation. But a lot of people, a lot of artists, producers, whatever, are watching these artists blame everyone else for their past mistakes and what they've agreed to that wasn't favorable for them. And they're like, okay, cool. I guess I can just do the same thing. It's just a rite of passage, and it shouldn't be. I think if we really want to change the cycle, to break the cycle of abuse in the music business, we have to be very honest about that. I mean, all forms of cyclical abusive patterns thrive on silence.
Say that again, please. We need that.
Everything. And I don't want to get dark, but child abuse, based on silence. Domestic abuse based on silence. It's all based on isolation. So if we're looking at the music business and saying, all right, we're being abused financially, we're being abused in terms of our intellectual property and our equity in music that we created, why are we sitting here? It's all hush. Oh, I can't speak on that because we're embarrassed about something that we signed for. We need to speak on this. Otherwise, we're never going to break that cycle. So like you said, I would love to see anyone involved in Scooter Braun, past or present, whether you love him or hate him, why? I want to know why. That would be a great example. You could change the paradigm by sitting down with a lawyer, turning the camera on and saying, these are the deal points that we have a problem with, or these are the deal points that we love, or, whatever the case is. And going back to Diddy, I'm thinking it's probably a pretty similar situation because people will love you and hate you for the same reasons. If I'm managing an artist and I'm taking 20%, someone might love that. I'm getting them $1,000 a show and they're getting to keep 800. And some people would hate it because they're like, why are you getting 200? You didn't perform up there. So when you hear about a Diddy or you hear about a Scooter Braun and there are no specifics, you really kind of don't know what's going on. Like someone like, I give Taylor Swift the benefit of the doubt just because what she did with the Red album, that was smart and it showed us a lot about the music business. But I would love to know why she left him. And, given that she knows so much about how the music business functions, it would be great to hear insight from somebody like her. It'd be great to hear insight from somebody like Mace at this point with all this experience that he's had. And I think ultimately a lot of people end up getting rich. They become multimillionaires off the music business, and maybe, they just get tight-lipped about it. And that's how people justify what they do. If I were in Scooter Braun's position or Diddy's position, I'd be like, well, I made Mace rich. I made Taylor Swift a household name. They're both, they never have to work again. Generations from now will be thriving off of the money I helped them create. They have real intergenerational wealth now. I just have 10 times that, or I just have 100 times that. But I feel like I gave them the platform, and therefore I didn't do anything wrong. And the artists themselves will be like, well, you did do something wrong, because I feel like, given that I created the music, this deal lasted too long, that these splits weren't fair. Yes, I'm rich. Yes, I'm famous. Yes, I'm successful, but you have received far more financial benefit from this situation than I have. So we don't know until we know.
And I think in a lot of these situations, the oppressed become the oppressor. So that's why I have to figure out how to make it make sense, because I still want to share my story about the festival that went south. But when I started to share, people were saying, the artist started saying I was lying, I was predatory, all these different things. But it's like, the whole reason they started working with me was because the lead artist left a label who he said was predatory. And then when he came over to me, like you said, people love and hate the same thing about people. He loved how prudent of a business person I was. He loved how generous I was. He loved how diligent I was in negotiation and how thorough I was. And he loved how I could just build something out of an idea. But then when it came to him treating it properly, he did exactly what the label did. He tried to just take it. He said, oh, that's mine now. I was here at the beginning. That's mine now. And it's like, no, you were the oppressed, and you did the same thing that you're complaining about the label doing. But then you're trying to make it seem as if I'm the dark, shady person. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, now when it comes to the business prudence, you don't like it because it's being utilized. And I wouldn't even say against you. I haven't changed. My integrity is still the same. It's just when you say that I'm lying, I said I have the paperwork. I still have screenshots and contracts that I could release the paperwork. I could release, I could release recordings of videos that we have. I was recording almost every conversation for the last 2 years. Why would I be recording every conversation for the last 2 years? Because I know how artists are.
Yeah, isn't it a shame? It's like, I've said this a million times. If I'm selling a beat, I don't get on the phone, and people are always like, let's get on the phone. I'm like, I'm not getting on the phone.
You need a paper trail.
Yeah, you do. Yep. And they don't understand. They're like, why? Like, because how many times, and this speaks to the conversation we had about the producer selling Leases for $1,000, which blew my mind, because this happened to me the other day. Happens to me all the time. Someone reaches out, they're like, I see you're still selling that beat that I bought from you last week. It's like, yeah, you paid $30 for that. It was a license. You went through the whole process. Before you make the purchase on BeatStars, it says, check this box after reading the terms. You didn't read the terms. Then once you purchase, paperwork falls right into your inbox. You clearly didn't click on it. You didn't look up what the term unlimited license or limited, whatever license they purchased, probably the basic. And then also there's this common sense factor where, do you really think I would sell an exclusive beat to you for 30 with a hook, so I'm only getting 15 off of it?
Not a platinum chart topping producer. Like like the sense doesn't make any sense.
Well, nobody, because think about it. Would any artist get approached by a label, independent or otherwise, and say yes to hey, I'm going to buy your masters up for $30? No one in their right mind. So why would we do that. So the point is, I want there to be a paper trail always. And, the paperwork is great. The fact that you have to go through a whole process is great. But during the conversation point, just the initial chats we're having, I've had it where I've been sending texts to people, and this is why I put everything in writing. I say it's transparency for both of us, because there's a chance I could mess up. And if I'm like, oh yeah, exclusive rights for $99, whatever it is, and then they send me the screenshot, I'm like, oh, I messed up. I have to give them a refund. I have to do right by them. But for the most part, it's them coming back and saying, you gave me exclusive rights for $39.99. No, I didn't. Here's the screenshot. And the second I send that screenshot, everything's calm. But it's just a matter of everyone having peace of mind. It's just a shame because there are so many terms, like these articles about these publishing catalogs. There are all these terms we don't understand. We agree to something, and then in our brains, some switch goes off, and we remember an entirely different situation. So we got to protect ourselves, especially as managers. If you're working in management, it feels, I hate to say this, I love working with artists, but it does feel like when an artist is mad, everyone gets vilified. Artists never get vilified. Managers get vilified. Producers get, and it's like, we're artists too. We're in the same position as you. But how many artists are going on social media and vilifying producers, talking about, oh, we're greedy. You got that little $24.99. You're trying to sell that $100. It's like, yeah, we are, because $24.99 isn't going to pay our bills. But we're these evil, greedy people, and you're likening us to, the Scooter Brauns of the world, and you have no idea what he's doing, what we're doing, or how the music business even operates. It's just this emotional reaction to something that you don't fully understand, and that you yourself would never put yourself through. Like, you would never sell your rights to a song for $30 or $70 or $100. You feel like you deserve $1 billion.
That's my thing. Whenever I tweeted this recently, my favorite form of negotiating is repeating back to the person who offered me a bogus deal, the deal, and saying, hey, does that sound like something that you would take? Because it's like half the stuff that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, when I talk about my festival and the artist says, no, we own 50% of it. I'm like, how? I spent $80,000 across 2 years. And they said, oh, well, we spent tens of thousands of dollars. I said, no, on the actual festival, in the spreadsheet that you're CC'd on, we spent $80,000. You have not contributed to that. And they're like, well, we had to pay for flights and lodging. And I'm like, well, 2 of y'all drove. 1 of y'all took a flight, but bought it the week of, so we had to pay $1,000. I'm still not seeing that equate to the operational expense. Tell me how you own 50% of this. And they were like, well, our name is worth more. And I'm like, okay, but have I done this before you did it? Could I do it without you? To me, that's not worth 50%. Do you know what I'm saying? But then it turned into, you're devaluing us, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, but listen to what I'm saying. If you spent $80,000 on your music, I came and added weight to it. Do I now own 50% of it? And then they were like, no, it's not the same. It's not explain. How is it not the same? I don't own 50% of your masters. Why would you own 50% of the festival that I'm producing for you? But I'm the one who's the terrible villain, because I'm saying you don't, not only do you not own 50% of this, but I gave you a 15% royalty. That is exactly the same royalty you gave me as your manager on coming in and managing everything that you did, adding weight to it, getting you brand partnerships, getting you syncs, building your credibility, getting you booked. But then it's like, no. Make it make sense. If the shoe was on the other foot, would you give me 50% of everything that you've created? And they would say no. And that to me is like, but bringing it up, the fans start to hear it from the artist perspective, and then the artists get emphatic and they're talking with emotion. As Kanye says, like, you talk with so much emphasis. Why are you so sensitive? If it's just business, Let's talk about the business details. But that's like when you get into, they start calling it semantics, and then they start putting the emotion into it. It's like, hey, artists would never take the deals that they want to give to people. They would never take them. And so the only thing that they can get into is the emotion of it and how they were done wrong. And then they lean on a long history of the industry being predatory. And it's like, man, do you understand that you are part of, again, the if the shoe is on the other foot, I think you would be a slave master as well. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're calling yourself, you're saying that you were beat into submission and you were in slavery. But if you had the stick in your hand, you would do the same thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's where the integrity lack is. And I think that's why transparency needs to happen. That's why women get paid less than men, because men won't talk about their salaries, because patriarchy says this is what you get. So people aren't, oh, don't tell anybody, don't talk about this. That's why I talk about brand partnerships. My first brand partnership, I messed up. We did a deal with Reebok. Reebok paid us $15,000 for a 6-month campaign. We had to shoot 3 commercials for them. We were stoked. The thing was, we told them we just wanted 5, and they were like, we'll give you 15. So we were like, shit, they probably
could have gotten 30.
Well, I'm saying they probably had 50 in the budget.
Yeah.
30 or 40.
I hate when that happens.
And we were just stoked. But I tell everybody about this. I'm like, if you need help with a brand partnership, hit me up. But then here's the thing. People were like, yo, what should I do for this, this, and this? I'm like, book a consultation. They're like, yo, it costs $200 to talk to you. I'm like, imagine getting on the phone with me for $200 and I make you $15,000 more dollars. But you know what I'm saying? But then people were like, man, I'm just trying to talk for 10 minutes. You could text it to me. We could just go back and forth on IG. And I'm like, I lost out on at least $15,000 to get this knowledge to save you this money. And you won't even give me my $200. But that's what I'm saying. I had a dude DM me the other day. Very frustrating. He was like, hey, I'm trying to get on the phone with you. I'm like, bet. Hit the link in my bio. He said, oh, so to get on the phone with you for 45 minutes. He was like, I just went like 10 or 15 minutes. It's $200? I said, yes. And he said, man, you started somewhere too. I said, I have a whole community that I pour into for free. I also have 3 podcasts and hundreds of videos on Instagram where you can get free knowledge. I said, I just launched a free course. I said, my ebook is $5. If you don't want to talk to me directly, that's fine. And he was like, I just want a few minutes of your time. I said, you don't even follow me on Instagram and you want me to give you time. He was like, sis, you started somewhere too. I said, do you show up to work for free? No answer to that, but then keeps rolling. Entitlement. I'm like, it took me 12 minutes to give you the 30 minutes that you want.
It's just the you started somewhere too thing. It's the stupidest fucking line I've ever heard, because people don't try that shit. Oh, don't get me started.
It took me 12 years to get to the 30 minutes that you want.
It's just
12 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes.
In what universe? Everyone starts at birth. So it's not like, I mean, like, are you going to ask? No one is going up to like, no one's going up to Drake and being like, you were an infant once. Why would I pay an infant for a feature? Give me the feature for free. It's stupid.
Because they respect Drake and they value his time. And that was my whole point. I was like, you don't respect me. You don't even follow me. You've never seen, I said, you wouldn't be asking this if you actually knew anything about me. I said, if you looked at one of my podcast episodes, you would recognize not only is she valuable, but she's willing to give. Let me just take what she's giving. But you saying, hey, I want something for free from you means that you haven't studied me enough. Anybody that I've ever asked for something, I'm coming with something. Even my mentor mentors me. He introduces me to other mentors. I volunteer for his organization. You know what I'm saying? It's like reciprocity. At the point that I am in my career, I have not thought that I'm too big to do anything. And I'm still new. So for a brand new artist who doesn't even follow me to have the audacity and the entitlement to say, hey, you started somewhere, it's really rude. It's ignorant. It's disrespectful. And then he says, sis, I'm talented. just check out my song. I said, this is my point. You want me to give you something. I've already given you too much time schooling you in my DMs, and you're still asking for my time. I said, go listen to one of my podcasts, and then I'll listen to your song. He said, I'm here to build, sis. I'll do it. Did he ever respond after that? No, because I know he didn't go. He just went on to the next person to DM to ask for a handout. And those are the type of people who won't prosper because they have nobody in their purview aside from themselves. All you're looking for is somebody. He probably found me from a post, or I'm in his feed somewhere. Somebody might have reposted. He went and looked and saw who followed me, said, oh, she can help me out. No, I'm not the one. If you want me to help you out, help yourself. You can pay me, or you can pull up to contribute to my life in some way, or at least start off with encouragement. This man sent me paragraphs about how he needed me to join his team. You could at least say, man, I really appreciate the game you're giving. So many people from this podcast and previous, hey, I appreciate the game you're giving. They'll like, comment, they'll share my stuff. They subscribe. The least you could do is follow me, subscribe to all my podcasts, and then like all my posts and add a comment. Because at least that boosts me in the algorithm. At least I get more subscribers. So now that I can monetize my YouTube. That don't cost you nothing, but maybe 5 minutes. But you spent 5 minutes going in on me? Please. Blocked.
You started somewhere.
What they want to give.
But it's always a money thing. It's like they don't want advice. They want a way to make money for themselves.
And I don't even think he wanted advice. I think he wanted to get on the phone with me and then be like, hey, I think you should manage me. Hey, can you put me in front of this person? He don't want advice, because if he wanted advice while I'm typing to him, he would have taken it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just seeing, because we all experience it. Someone reaching out saying, hey, I've had people say, hey, I'm getting a sync right now. I'm offered a sync. Can you help me get it? It's like, no, I can't.
Give me the management percentage. I can't.
It's like, what? So you want me to be the lawyer, and I know syncs pay money, so you're making at least $1,000 off of this, and you want me to drop everything I'm doing to ensure that you get 100% of this $1,000? When in reality, I'm not even qualified to help you, so I'm not going to. But if if I had the resources, I could just mobilize the resources, call all the lawyers I know. Trust me, this guy's on Instagram. He needs our help for free. Hurry up. I don't know what world people live in. Let's end on a positive note. I have nothing. What say something positive that's been going on.
I mean, at the beginning of this, I said, book me to speak if you're in the education system. And I just got a text that Microsoft wants me to speak at a virtual thing.
Oh, hey, congrats.
So that's lit. Hopefully it goes through, but it's from a very credible source. One of my family members who works there is like, hey, they asked me to get speakers. So Lord willing, they pay my speaker fee. But yeah, look, that's a positive thing. We out here. I told everybody this year I'm leaning into podcasting and speaking. So if you want me to come, I do paid gigs, y'all. So don't hit me on no. But if you want me to come speak at your university, your corporation, I like to run panels. Those are easier than keynotes. But that's a good thing. Also, Payne, I feel like it seems like, maybe I'm tripping, it seems like the response to you in general on the internet and to your post, and then even the stuff that I'm a part of with you, has generally gotten more positive. I think that the more we talk about ourselves and experiences and not just the business, people are humanizing us and not just expecting us to be these robotic people. So I think that's a win too. Is that just my perception, or do you feel like it's gotten more positive?
No, I think it's more positive, and I think it's just law of averages. You have the weirdos and they come with the supporters, but also a lot of the negative people just run out of steam eventually.
Because they're not being fed, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good. Look, guys, it's way more easy to be positive not because the positivity is easy in the moment, but positivity feeds you more. Negativity also feeds you, but positivity feeds you more. It gives you energy, whereas negativity just drains you. So if you're one of these people who trolls, like that video that I told you, you played it a couple of weeks ago. We're about to hit 1 million, hopefully today. But so, like, literally, it started out mostly negative, and now it's like so many people are giving me positive feedback on that video, and it's still getting shared. So, one, thank you guys for paying attention and watching it. But two, I agree. It's like I just kept feeding it with positivity, and now that's what I'm getting out. The music industry is a negative place to a lot of people, and they say that, but I'm surrounded by positive, great people. And I think that if you want to believe in yourself and go after it, think positively, it's going to suck. It's not going to not suck, but it'll suck even if you're negative. So it's like, at least be positive and get the wins out of it. So there's
It'll
a
suck
positive
more. No one wants to be around negative people other than other negative people. And then it just becomes a matter of you wanting, like, no, negative people don't want to be around negative people who don't agree with their negativity and have an entirely different form of negativity. It's just
infighting. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just, a lot of people will hide behind this shield of just keeping it real. I'm just too honest. I'm just a realist. When in reality, there's nothing realistic about it. You're just being negative. And if you, in fact, thought negativity and keeping it real were the same thing, then you would be hanging out with all types of people who are negative as shit, but have opposing viewpoints, right? Because they're negative. You're all part of the same clan.
Exactly.
But it's bullshit. People are just, children with driver's licenses. So that being said, we appreciate you tuning in and appreciate the comments. We appreciate all the support, especially the groundswell we've gotten lately. And we'll be back. Same time, same place next week. Hopefully, I'll have Erinn. Hopefully, we'll have Dame. And possibly
I'll be in Chicago, so hopefully it'll work out.
Oh, you can just drive north a couple hours and we can just do it right here.
Oh, right. You're not far. Dang.
Yeah, two and a half. It depends how fast your people drive or you drive.
I drive fast.
Okay.
Dang, I 2 hours. Actually, that would be sick to do something in person. I'm in Chicago for like 4 days. I got to see it because those are like the rehearsal days. But I kind of think I may have an off day. Payne, if you're serious, if I have an off day, I may come see you.
Yeah. Text me the dates.
Okay, for sure.
See, that was a positive note. That's the positive ending we wanted. All right, cool. Let's end now. Peace.